Now, for those of you who've watched any of my videos, I feel like most of them really don't mean much of anything. And I feel like this one is a combination of something that means literally nothing, while at the same time, uh, it's the result or has resulted in a mass change in how some people communicate. Today, we're going to be talking about keyboards. Now, there's nothing special about the two keyboards you see on the screen right now. The one on the left is from a MacBook, the one on the right is from a Microsoft Surface laptop. But there's one thing that they both have in common. Of course, there's a full number key. You need all the keys, all the letters, all that. But most importantly, as far as I'm concerned, they both have a period. This little button right here, this key. So if you press it, boom, period happens. Heck, I could. Oh, a little text box right here. And there it is. Let me move this. And in fact, I'm typing on that MacBook right now. So yeah, I can just type periods. And that was a semicolon, didn't mean to do that. But then also commas. They're just right there. Don't need to press shift. Don't need to press another button to access them. Don't need to rely on some random system setting to insert it automatically. They're just there automatically. I'll say they're just regularly available to whoever is using the keyboard. Now, let's go to digital keyboards because, of course, you're looking at this. You're like, yeah, man, these are full-size keyboards. It would make sense for it to have literally all the keys that one could perceivably need. But let's come here. Okay, so top left corner. What do you think that is? I mean, it says iMessage right there, so that's kind of a hint. That is an iPad keyboard. An iPad mini to be exact. So not the largest device out there, but still an Apple product, a digital keyboard. And what does this have? Oh, look, period, and a comma. Okay. And you'll probably say, oh, well, one, I probably know where you're going with this, meaning you know where I'm going with this. But you'll probably say, oh, well, this iPad isn't, it's not that small of a device. So it's okay for it to have all the keys similar to most of the keys that we had up here. One thing I would point out is that there is not a full number row here. I mean, yes, I think if you press and hold these keys, the numbers, or I think you can just swipe down with them. You can do something so that the numbers get inserted quickly, but still not a full number key. But not really too concerned about that. Mainly just the fact that there's a period and a comma. But then again, let's talk about another digital keyboard, one that's even smaller. So this device down here in the bottom left, it's from my Zenfone 10. One of the smallest Android devices that I own. In fact, no, it is the smallest Android device I own now. Well, obviously, there were smaller ones in the past. But even with this smaller keyboard, and don't get confused, the image size is kind of big. No, the phone itself is pretty small. But what Google has decided to do with Gboard is they say, hey, the space bar doesn't need to be that big. So let's go ahead and boop. There's a little period right there. And then boop, there's a little comma. So it's like, hey, there's a period and a comma, a period and a comma. And I'm just like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, I will say, to give an example, just so I can be fair, what's a digital keyboard that you really don't have a lot of space? One where you really would be like, you know what? It would probably be in our best interest if we, I guess, didn't give all of the options all at once. And in this situation, we'd be talking about this OnePlus watch right here. So yeah, a smartwatch, not a ton of real estate, perfectly fine for you to have to press something to get appropriate punctuation or numbers. And in this case, you can see right here in the middle, you'd have to press that button and then it would change the screen and then you'd be presented with punctuation and numbers. So I hope you can see where I'm going with this is that full-size keyboards, everything that you need. Full-size iPad keyboard, everything that you need. Full-size, for the most part, Gboard keyboard on an Android device, and I gotta preface that. But then, hey, smartwatch, not enough space. Now, what I thought was interesting was this. I forget, was I just scrolling on Facebook? Which I'm not endorsing it. I hate it that I even had to say Facebook, but it's just some information is worthwhile, and then you get to something like this. Full stops can annoy Gen Z, warns linguist. Using full stops in text and messages could offend or upset young people. The linguists have warned teenagers and those in their early 20s, Generation Z, who have grown up using short messages to communicate can see that punctuation mark as a symbol of curt passive aggressive. And there's some more stuff right there. So again, I'm assuming somebody on Facebook, which again, not condoning it, but I think somebody took a picture of something in the news. That's what it looks like. And I sent this to a friend because he and I talk about this all the time because he's younger than me, but he's not that much younger than me. And he and a lot of people that are close to my age also don't use punctuation when sending text messages, which again probably isn't that important, but it's more of an annoyance for me to read these run-on sentences. But then, yeah, for younger people and maybe even some people my age are like, oh, it's rude if you put a period. And just to kind of corroborate with some of this stuff, I mean, again, not endorsing AI overviews, but we'll scroll down afterwards. Is yes, for some younger people, punctuation, particularly the period at the end of a text message, can be perceived as aggressive or angry, creating a sense of formality and seriousness in a casual context. What's no, like it's not that. Okay, we've been using periods for however long. I'm not going to. At some we could Google, but not going to. But even if you scroll down, there are other instances of people saying similar things. So if you care enough, by all means, look it up. If you don't agree with it, then that's fine. But why did this happen? And I think I know why. I mean, of course, could be wrong, but I think I know why. As we just talked about, all the other keyboards have the period right there in your face, except for the one where it truly makes sense for it to not be there. But what device does not have it right in your face? The iPhone. The iOS keyboard is this. This is what it looks like. There is not a semblance of punctuation in sight. Because yeah, if you press this little button, you'll get some other stuff. But no, they didn't add a question mark or a period or something to inform you also that hey, if you tap this, you'll get punctuation. No, not a single iterance of punctuation in sight. I don't know what this little thing is. I was trying to press and hold it, and I know if you press and hold the space bar, you can move the cursor around, but I'm not sure what that little symbol actually means. But you might be saying, oh, well, if you have the appropriate settings set on, like what I have down here with this period shortcut, double tap the space bar will insert a period followed by a space. Which yes, I'm happy that it's there. But I'm telling you, a lot of people don't use it. They'll just type, single space at the end of a sentence, continue typing. Heck, they might capitalize the next word to let me know that, oh, this technically is the beginning of a new sentence. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes stuff happens automatically. There's auto correction, auto capitalization, smart punctuation. I'm not sure what that actually means, but and in case you weren't aware, this is the part of the settings screen on the iPhone, so under the one of the keyboard menus. But what I think has happened, as I try not to rant as I usually do, is that this keyboard is the keyboard that younger people see far more than any other keyboard ever. Whereas people my age cancel.
From datalounge.com.
Cancel.
Most people
Stop.
my age look much older to me than I look to myself.
Hey.
And even them.
Stop. But most people that age, they use this keyboard all the time. Where for us, when we were growing up, it was all right. Well, we had computers, and then there was of course a lot of handwritten stuff. But then, yeah, we use full size keyboards all the way through adulthood, and I still use them today, of course. And yes, even though I send text messages on my phone using an Android device, I have the period in my screen, the period on my screen naturally. Whereas with these people, yeah, they might still write papers and things like that. But, let's say on average, I'm making this up, but I don't know, they might spend an hour or two on a computer every couple of days. I really don't know. But they'll spend almost every waking minute looking at that iPhone keyboard. And then that's what they used to. So if it's not on their on the screen in their face, they don't even acknowledge it. And now that's for young people getting offended because they're just like, oh, insert whatever random excuse. But then with people my age, they don't use it because they don't see it. And it's like, man, please insert a period. That's all that I ask. Just insert the period. It's so bothersome to read these things. Geez, that thing is going. I probably should have put all these things on mute. Anyway, what can potentially be done? Nothing really, but here I thought this was interesting. So, again, still on the iPhone, you can download and install Gboard if one chooses to do so. And I like that this setting right over here, show period on keyboard, because I'm quite confident Google's like, yeah, because it makes sense. Why wouldn't why wouldn't it be there? But we have to make it as an option because I guess some people probably would want it not present or not visible. So this screen over here on the right, or this image on the right, is what happens when you turn that setting off. No period. You just have the return key and then the spacebar. But if you choose to show the period on the keyboard, then yeah, it just makes the return key smaller, which is perfectly fine. There's more than enough space, and I feel like that's Apple's part of their thought process in addition to trying to make the keyboard look as clean as possible. But no, just make that button a little smaller. I mean, I'm not here to tell Apple how to redesign their keyboard, but I'm sure they could figure something out to put a period there. Make the spacebar the spacebar smaller. It's a pretty wide spacebar. So yeah, that's that. The other thing, which I just kind of happen to think about because when I'm typing on an iPhone, I'm just like, this is just a bad experience, mainly because the period and the comma both are there. Dealing with numbers. So here, this is Gboard on an Android device. Then yeah, you just have a whole row of numbers that you can just type, no problem. But you come down here, Gboard on iOS, Apple has to control everything. So they're like, fine, Gboard, you can put a number row there because that's one of the options. Where is it? Show number row. But notice that it's not a full height row. They're there. You can see where you would press them, but it's not there. And I don't like that. That's just another thing where it's like, you're making this keyboard worse just for the sake of what, aesthetics maybe? I don't know. But in terms of functionality, absolutely hate it. So, in summary, again, because I know I can go on and on and on and on. Keyboards have periods. Many of them do. Full size, actual physical keyboards, digital keyboards have them. When it's super small, they don't. So that's good, at least visibly in your face. Looks like some young people are offended by periods. The iPhone is the primary keyboard that young people use, and I'm 100%, I'm 98% confident that not only their lack of punctuation, I'll say, what am I trying to say? I'm confident that it is a two-pronged issue. They don't use the punctuation because it's not in their face. And they are offended with it because they're not used to using it. So therefore, when somebody sends it to them, then they're like, oh, this guy must be mad or this girl must be mad. And then I guess that's the point they try to make too, is that, oh, I'm going to take the time to press this button to let you know I'm pissed off with you. So I'm pissed off with this entire keyboard. But I think that's enough for today. And yeah, please use periods.